Hey everyone, welcome to week 2 of our online Bible studies for the Gospel Project. We hope you enjoyed last week's study. If you didn't get a chance to do that, you can still access it. We're going to leave that up for you for a while. Now this week we're going to be looking at Luke chapter 2. And I was reminded during this study of my life verse. It's the verse that God used to call me into ministry. It comes from John chapter 17, verse 4, and it's a part of Jesus' high priestly prayer. In fact, I have a remembrance stone that I wrote on almost 20-something years ago when I felt God call me into ministry, just as a reminder that I keep in my office. And here's what the verse says. Jesus said, "I have glorified you on the earth, having accomplished the work that you gave me to do." And I was blown away that Jesus could say at the end of his life he had done exactly what the Father had called him to do. And that's all I desired when I felt God calling me into ministry. I prayed and said, God, I'll go wherever, do whatever, and serve whoever you call me to. I wanted to live the life of a Jesus follower, fully surrendered to him. And in Jesus' life, even as a young boy, we see a life surrendered to perfect obedience to his Father. So as we look at Luke chapter 2, if you're using your daily discipleship guide for the Gospel Project, that's going to start on page 43. But in Luke chapter 2, we see Jesus and his family have traveled to Jerusalem to celebrate the Passover. And he's only 12 years old at the time. And I don't know about you, but when I was 12, I wasn't living this life of perfect obedience to the Father, but Jesus was. And so after they celebrate the Passover, the group is traveling back to their hometowns, and Jesus' parents assume that he's with the crowds, that he's somewhere amongst all the pilgrims who've made that journey. But after a day of journeying, they realize that Jesus isn't with them. So they have to travel a day back to Jerusalem and then spend a day searching for him. And so after 3 days, they finally find him, and there he is in the temple. And Mary says to him, "Son, why have you treated us so? Like, why did you disappear? Behold, your father and I have been searching for you in great distress." And Jesus answers Mary's question with a question, as he does so often in his ministry. And he says to them, "Why were you looking for me? Did you not know that I must be in my Father's house?" And so we see Jesus, that he must be about his Father's business. And as one pastor says, Jesus' mission will require of him a devotion to God's purpose so great that it takes precedence over the closest family ties. He must follow his calling, even if it brings pain and understanding. Jesus was going to live this life of obedience. No matter what the circumstances or what that called him to do, he was going to be obedient to the Father. But Jesus wasn't just this rogue religious teacher who was unconcerned about his parents or others. In fact, he knew that under the law, he was to respect his earthly mother and father. And that's why we see in verse 51, "And he went down with them and came to Nazareth and was submissive to them." The Son of God was submissive to his earthly parents. So those of you who are parents can turn to this verse and point to your kids. See, Jesus even was submissive to his parents. So you should be submissive to me as well. But I'm thinking about this coronavirus. And it would be easy for us as believers to just see this opportunity as we're going to gather. We're going to do what we want to do. And we don't care what the authorities ask us to do. We don't care what our neighbors are doing. We're going to gather regardless. But we also see Scripture where we're to submit to those in authority over us. And Jesus saw submission as an aspect of him living out obedience to the Father. So he was submissive to his parents. And we too can be submissive to our government during this time and see it as an act of obedience, that we're submitting to those whom God has placed in authority, that we're loving our neighbors by not allowing this virus to continue to spread rampantly by gathering in big crowds. And so we don't have to see this as an opportunity where we're not able to be together, but it's just another opportunity for us to be obedient to the Father, just as Jesus was. He said, "I must be about my Father's business," but it also says that he submitted to his parents. And so we should submit, that we should see this as an opportunity for us to continue to serve God. I hope you enjoy today's study as you continue to look at Luke chapter 2, verses 40 through 52, and complete the study below.